Greetings all, Nippon B here, and welcome to Blood Bowl 2. I'm starting this as my first YouTube series, and I thought that we should probably be starting by doing some team creation videos. To start off, I'd like to go ahead and start by choosing to create a new team. We're going to be going today with Skaven. Skaven is a team I'm going to probably choose to play 7 out of 10 times. It's probably my strongest team that I can figure, we might as well go ahead and start this channel with that. That being said, Skaven have a number of pitfalls, benefits, downsides. Well, to start off, we're going to go ahead and get our team name in. Team name that I tend to use for this team is Flea Bitten. And our motto here, kitty kitty. And as with, all great Skaven, we go with purple, royal purple. And where else could we play but the furball? So looking at this, no, we do not want to do an automatic roster selection. I'm going to be showing you 2 different Skaven team makeups today. There's really 2 ways you can play Skaven. I tend to be more of a passing defensive coach. There is also an ability, Skaven have the ability to be made into a bashing team. Not a lot of people utilize it, but it is possible, and I have seen it done. I tend to not do it myself, as I said, but that being said, I'm going to show you and, also play the team and hopefully, show some pointers or at least show you how to get it destroyed fairly quickly so you can be done with it and not have to worry about it ever again. Now, in Blood Bowl, you're allowed to have up to 16 players on your team. There are many different positions based on your race, based on, stats, what have you that are available. Skaven happen to have, 5 positions available: linemen, throwers, gutter runners, stormvermin, and rat ogres. We're going to go through each of these here in just a little bit, discuss, benefits to them, negatives to them, as well as starting out how many you'd be taking and possible advancements for them. With this first team, we're going to be doing it as an agility passing team, what I also like to refer to as a defensive team. The main piece in this team is going to be your gutter runners. The gutter runners have a 9 movement, it's the fastest movement available in the game without enhancements or boosts. They only have a 2 strength, meaning they're not overly strong and can be blocked or have a hard time blocking other people. They do have a 4 agility, meaning for most of the time they're handling the ball without tackle zones or dodging away from people. They're doing it on a roll of a 2. Armor value is 7. Again, this is a low armor value. Average roll will keep them on the field barely, but if somebody has Mighty Blow, then they can be taken off on just an average roll of 7. They do have access to the general and agility charts normally. On a roll of doubles, they gain access to mutation. All Skaven, we're going to get that. Very handy, list of different skills. Sometime later on, probably sooner rather than later, we're going to be going through and doing a general skills, all the skills that are out there and what they do, how they can be used, are they viable, what have you. That being said, we're going to purchase, to start this team, we're going to go with 4 gutter runners. Now, with gutter runners on this team, I tend to develop them in a very specific goal in mind. And I'll get into that a little bit once we get this team situated. So, 4 gutter runners. Next up is going to be thrower. Throwers are basically enhanced linemen. So they have the same stats as what your linemen are going to have, which would be a 7 movement, 3 strength, 3 agility, 7 armor values. 3 agility means while you are looking at them as a potential ball handler, they're not necessarily great at it. One of the benefits they do have, though, is they do have pass skill and they do have sure hands. Both of these allow them to re-roll, or the potential of re-roll should they fail in their first attempts. As this piece develops, it does become a rather strong passing piece. Again, it's just, becomes a play style issue. One of the nice things, though, is the sure hand skill. The player re-rolls the dice if he fails to pick up the ball. In addition, there's a skill out there called strip ball, which means if somebody hits you and you do not have sure hands, and they get even just a pushback result on the block dice, they're going to knock the ball out of your hands, thus making it very inconvenient, making it so you don't hold on to the ball and giving them an opportunity to take the ball away and score, which is actually a lot of what this team tends to do, the way I create it. You'll also notice down here we have Stormvermin. Stormvermin are theoretically your hitting pieces, your tanks on this team. 7 movement again, 3 strength, 3 agility, and an 8 armor value. So they're a little bit tougher than your general run-of-the-mill Skaven, and they also come starting out with block skill. Block is a universal protection attack skill. Lots of players, as many of your players as you can get with it on the team is always great. Unfortunately with Skaven, gutter runners are going to be the ones to probably be getting it as well. Occasional linemen, but your linemen are more likely to die than they are to actually advance. You're allowed to have 2 Stormvermin on your team. So I do recommend starting with both the Stormvermin. And finally, Skaven linemen. These guys are your punching bags. They're the ones who are going to take all the hits, be stuck next to everybody. 7 movement means they can get around very well, even after being knocked down, and spending 3 movement points to stand up. They can still move away and get back into the thick of things, especially if you're playing against a bashing team that is unable to move very quickly. They do have a 3 strength. Again, 3 strength is going to be an average strength score throughout the majority of the teams. 3 agility, so again, not great. You don't want them handling the ball. And again, the 7 armor value. Almost all the Skaven teams have the 7 armor value. Almost all the Skaven pieces, I should say, have the 7 armor value, except for the Stormvermin and the Rat Ogre. In terms of how you do these guys, I recommend just getting, to start any team, you've got to have 11 players to start off the bat. With Skaven, I always go one step further with this particular starting team, take it up to 12. The odds of you losing a player within the first part of the game is very high. Still, I'm going to confirm the purchases on this, and we're going to move on to our staff and rerolls. Skaven need an apothecary, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need an apothecary because of your low armor values. Odds are you are going to be hurt. Now that only allows us to start with 2 rerolls. Now I know many people would rather say back up and start with only 11 players and go with 3 rerolls. Now I have actually, my reasoning behind this is twofold. One, the extra player tends to come in handy in the first couple of games, especially when you're first starting out and really needing to get points into people. Being able to put an additional body out on the line can be very helpful. 2, it comes from years of playing in different leagues and stuff and trying to control team rating. When you purchase rerolls starting out, they cost $60,000. Once you've started your team, you go back in and you purchase a reroll. In this case, it doubles the reroll cost, which would be 120,000 gold. But in terms of team value, it's only going to cost 60,000 or 60 points of team value, even though you're spending 120,000. in order to get the reroll. So in a way, it's a means of controlling your team value by purchasing rerolls rather than putting into new players and stuff. It's one of the little tricks I use. Granted, it's not a lot of points, but it can add up. Those 6 points could be the difference between a babe or a reroll or something in your next match. Just one of those things to think about. So this team right here is pretty well set. Looking at it, again, I want to go over kind of how I start off my Skaven and what I'm looking to do with them for this particular style of team. As you can see, I've got 4 gutter runners here. With that, I always try and develop my gutter runners in very specific ways. First off, I try and create a blitzing gutter runner. I know it seems kind of counterintuitive to be using a 2-strength piece as your blitzer, but really, I mean, I don't tend to use my Stormvermin for that very often. With gutter runners having a 9 movement, this piece, gutter runners are the stars of this team. They will do things for you no other piece in the game will attempt. It's kind of crazy, but they will do amazing things. The first blitzer is going to be the blitzer is going to be the one who is going after the ball. That being said, the skill progression on this piece that what I'm generally looking for is starting off with strip ball, or with block first, sorry. Second skill will be strip ball. It penalizes anyone who is not carrying the ball with a sure hands piece. Anything we can do to get the ball on the ground gives us an opportunity. Third skill is going to be leap. That way people can box up all they want. We'll go in, we'll take the 2 dice of their choice, block, and hope for push results if necessary. As long as they don't have sure hands. If they have sure hands, then you've got to try and break your way in. But even if you can just go in and push them out, that can still be very handy. Should you get doubles on the piece you're trying to develop as a blitzer, again, you have access to mutations. My recommendation for that, go ahead and take the horn skill. It makes your blitz actions, the gutter runner has a 3 strength 4, putting you even with a lot of the ball carrying pieces, or stronger than some of them. And further on down the road, I'd be glad to talk more about where you take that piece if you get the opportunity. Second gutter runner is going to be what I call the ball hawk. He tends to be the one who is going to go in after the ball when it hits the ground. Ideally, if you can, this guy's going to get an edge boost. That's who you're looking for. A 5 edge piece in this regard. And it actually happens quite often. I almost always have at least 1 5-edge gutter runner on my team. Or in some cases I've done 6 edges, which is always interesting. But that being said, skills I recommend taking for what I call my ball hawk gutter runner is going to be block to start. Block is so key to survival for these pieces. It's great for being able to attack if you need to, but the survival of getting block is so big. Second skill, hopefully you're looking for again edge, or if you roll doubles, you can go on the mutation chart and go for big hand. You're always going to pick the ball up for a 2, no matter how many tackle zones are on it, no matter the weather. Very handy for going in and getting things. And third skill, in this case, you're looking at going for leap. So if you don't get the edge boost or the doubles on your second skill, go ahead and take leap. Having 2 leap pieces will allow you to cross many of the lines, go after and hard to reach places, and go ahead and get the ball. Third piece that I have in terms of my gutter runners is going to be a 1-turn score piece. These can be fairly difficult to set up. Biggest thing is, ideally you want to get one movement boost.
The Bank of
If you get the one movement boost and then the skill sprint, that puts you at 13 spaces, which happens to be as far as the end zone is away from the line of scrimmage. So that means getting the ball in one turn, you can score in one turn. And so ideally you're looking for a move boost or sprint. And as your second or third skill, you're looking for sure feet, so you can get a reroll on those going for it. Because I realize going for it is only a 1 in 6 chance that you're going to fail, though statistically that doesn't seem to be the way it plays out. I say, with this piece, again, start with block, make that your first first skill you take with it. One of the reasons I say take block with all with all the gutter runners initially is then you have, your block dodge blank slate, and then hopefully, unless of course you roll up doubles or something and can start developing those specific pieces. Occasionally I will skip block if I've got an edge boost or something within my first skill roll. So the fourth gutter runner tends to be my jack of all trades. He's kind of the backup who handles, being, the catch piece sometimes, will sometimes be the secondary ball hawk, secondary blitzer.
Did you know you have a fan club?
If you, are looking for something different to do with your third or fourth gutter runner, always seems to be one of them that doesn't develop as well as the others or as quickly. He's for some reason never in the right place to get the ball to score the touchdowns or what have you. He's always being used as the assist piece to help out for others. But once you finally start getting him points, something to consider rather than giving him block is give him wrestle. Wrestle does an interesting thing in that it allows you to knock down a piece that has block skill. You both fall down, unfortunately, so there is a danger in that if you're playing somebody that will foul, which a lot of people will, especially a gutter runner, because gutter runners do make this team go round, putting yourself on the ground could be detrimental and get you injured out of the game anyway. So, with this piece, I tend to develop it, again, the block dodge or wrestle, again, if you feel like doing something a little different. With wrestle, it does allow you to go after those block ball carriers that have sure hands and possibly knock them down still and knock the ball loose. In terms of the second or third skills, oftentimes on this piece I'm looking at catch, something to get a reroll for, to get easy points with, or possibly sidestep. Sidestep is one of the more annoying skills in the game in that it allows you, the defender, to choose what space you go to out of any of the open ones that are available and the 8 surrounding you. Means that people can't push you out of bounds without surrounding you completely. It means that you don't go and end up where somebody wants you at necessarily. Next we're looking at the throwers. Alright, now Skaven throwers are quick because of the 7 movement, the 3 strength, 3 edge. Again, 3 edge means, for picking up the ball, generally you're rolling for a 3. For passing it, depending on the length of the pass, you're looking at rolling, a 4, 3 to 4 on the pass. But with throwers, it's fairly simple. Get some points into them, get a skill. Typically, I'm going to recommend actually starting with accurate over strong arm and then going with strong arm as your second skill. Anything beyond those is gravy. Nerves of steel, so you can run up and stand in tackle zones and still pass. But once I get into showing some videos of my gameplay, you will see that I tend to set up in a way that the thrower doesn't get hit until there's no other options. Now, looking back, Stormvermin. Some people really enjoy Stormvermin. They have lots of luck with them. They become amazing beasts and just, destroy everything they're near. I apparently destroy Stormvermin because they don't develop for me very well. Almost ever. I've played, unfortunately, probably hundreds of Skaven teams at this point. And very rarely have I had a Stormvermin that develop into anything. Really, all I end up looking for with this team is for Stormvermin to develop to have guard. Getting guard on these pieces is very handy. And if I can get both of them with guard, then I start looking to add stand firm. Keeping them in place, putting them where I want them. If they roll doubles, I've had Stormvermin with sidestep. Theoretically, yes, you can go with mutations and stuff, claw or something, but again, I don't hit with these guys very often. More often than not, I'm only getting 2 to 3 hits in a turn at best. I tend to play a very passive-aggressive style, try and make my opponent roll lots of dice, and hopefully, by doing so, cause them to fail die rolls. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But
I'm looking forward to these
unfortunately,
next few matches,
the nature of the game is that by rolling dice here, you will, be able to, anytime you roll dice here in Blood Bowl, there's always the chance of failure. That's what's happening. And so the more die rolls you can make your opponent take, the better you're off you are in having them fail something. It only takes usually, one failure for a Skaven to capitalize and score off of it. Next, we're looking at Linemen. Again, Linemen, 7 movement, 3 strength, 3 agility, 7 armor value. They only have access to general skills normally. Now, as I said earlier, these guys are your punching bags. Because of this, you need to take skills that are going to allow them to survive. The 3 linemen that are always going to end up on the line, I will recommend getting block, but if you are interested in causing havoc with your opponent's front line, take wrestle. Put your guys on the ground. If somebody wants to waste time fouling Skaven linemen, more power to them. That's just ultimately a waste for them. But putting wrestle on people, again, when Skaven stand up with a 7 movement, they still got 4 movement spaces left. If you knock a dwarf on the ground, however, he's gotten to stand up and has 1 space to go. Really slows them down and can throw them off their game because of it. For secondary skills, if they survive that long, I often recommend Fend for the 3 that are going to constantly be your line players. Means your opponent is not going to be able to follow up with you, and it again helps protect them and keeps people from adding assists and stuff. Again, can increase their survivability. Now, the one piece we did not purchase with this team, and I'll be honest, I never really purchased with this team, is the Rat Ogre. As far as Rat Ogres go on this team, I don't take them unless I'm really looking to have a punching bag decoy. People love to hit the big guys. I don't understand it, but for some reason, it's maybe a point of pride that they can take out a big guy or something, but you throw a big guy out there and it's like flies to honey, and they're going to get hit. The reason I tend to avoid the Rat Ogre on this team is because of the random element of him. Because he has to roll a die every turn in order to be able to perform an action or what have you. This team does not handle very well because the one time he's going to roll his wild animal is going to be the time that you really need him to make that block in order to spring the ball or to knock open a hole so that you can get through. And not only is he random in terms of how often when he can take actions, because of his loner ability, there's also a chance you can't re-roll it. So too many random bad things happening with that in order for me to trust putting him on this team. This team is about being able to execute when you need it to execute. So as you can see, this is my passing Skaven team. In terms of how it plays, I'm going to be posting some play commentary videos. The way I'm going to be posting those are I will be playing the games and commenting on the replay of it. The game itself usually takes about an hour and a half, hour and whatever, and by doing the commentary over the replay can bring that down to about 30 minutes. Much more easier to watch, and it takes out all the unnecessary things, all the time spent contemplating and moving. Everything just moves along, snap, snap, snap on the replays. It's a really nice feature, and I'm glad that they did that in this game. And I also have to thank Sheepdog for his videos showing me that can be done that way. It's going to make things very interesting, very easy in terms of getting my replays done. Now a little bit about just starting out with this team. Some of the key things for this, when this team starts out, I always start with defense with this team. If you have the option, there are two reasons for this. First, if you're on defense, you'll be starting with full roster, meaning you're going to have 11 players out on the field. Might as well, start the game with it. Skaven, don't often have 11 players afterwards. It's a lot easier to score when you're down pieces than it is to play defense down pieces. Skaven, I've scored with Skaven even just having 3 players on the field. And they're always in it and always have a chance in terms of that. Second, the way this team is set up, defense is actually its best offense. The way I generally tell people is, we've got this team and the ball's already on the other side of the field where we're trying to get to. It doesn't take, but a few spaces to move to the other side of the field and you're in scoring range. So if they fail to pick up the ball, you're able to knock it loose. You're able to score touchdowns very quickly. That's where, again, the Skaven speed can cause problems for a lot of people if they are unable to get to the ball or defend it very well. That actually reminds me, with linemen, if you get the opportunity, I do recommend throwing kick on one of them. Being able to put the ball where you need it, be it up close or far back into a corner, it's an amazing skill for this team and allows them to control, throwing dwarves into the far back corner so that they can't run up and box up very well can really make your day. Let's see. Now, one thing that where this team will differ from the elf teams and some of the other passing teams that you're going to see further in some of the later teams we're going to be setting up, Skaven will need to be put into tackle zones. They don't do well dodging out. They don't, so they will be throwing themselves at people constantly. Be aware of that. There's not much you can really do in that regard. And finally, these guys are the kings of speed. They will cover your mistakes and also force your opponents to play a game they may not want to. Starting out can be tough with this, but if you stick with it and start developing your guys, you'll start to see why a lot of people are very fond of them. that being said, we're going to go ahead and create another Skaven team. This one we're going to do a little bit differently.
It's said
It's going to be...
That's because they share the vault with the gold wizards, and nobody's gonna steal from them.
Black Death. And our motto is going to be curiosity doesn't kill, we do. Because we're, going with a bashing team. And I think for a good bashing team, we're looking for red. Not any red. We want dark red. Although the dark red looks kind of pink to me, but we play in the back alley. Again, we're not going to create our team. Alright, so again, we're back to the team roster. Have the same amount, of options available. Again, 16 players. Got to start with 11. And this time, we're going to start with a Rat Ogre. Followed by our Stormvermin. Gotta have 2 Stormvermin in this case. And in this particular team, your Stormvermin is actually going to be probably your star players. They're going to be the ones to get a lot of the stuff done. And we're also only going to be starting with 2 gutter runners. And we will start with 5 linemen to put us to 11 players. So you can see we've got 190,000 gold left. What that's going to allow us to do, we could in theory buy 3 rerolls and go without an apothecary, starting with only 11 pieces and have 10,000. Again, I don't go without an apothecary. You could lose your Rat Ogre in the first game, thus meaning you just have to restart the team. It's not going to be viable after that. Or lose your Stormvermin, which 90,000. Odds are you'd have to play through 2 games just to replace one of them. Don't want to do that. Alright. So, okay, looking at this team, how is it going to develop? What are we looking to do with it? Alright, looking at it, we have the Rat Ogres. Rat Ogres are 6 movers, one of the fastest large monsters in the game. Have a 5 strength like most of the other large monsters, a 2 agility, and an 8 armor value. So he does add a little bit of toughness to your team. Skills he's going to start with are Frenzy, meaning once he does a block, if he doesn't knock the opponent down, he's going to do a second block no matter what. And he always has to follow up, if able, into an opponent's tackle zone. Also starts with Mighty Blow. Mighty Blow is one of your injury skills, something that's going to be very necessary for this team to do what we're trying to do. You can choose to either add 1 on the armor check, meaning if you roll somebody's armor, say in this case you had an 8, you can use your Mighty Blow, push it to 9, and have an opportunity of injuring them. If you already broke their armor, you can then use the Mighty Blow to add to the injury roll, meaning you can push a 7 into a stun, or from a stun into a KO, or push a 9 KO into an injury, and have them removed for the rest of the game. The other beneficial skill that the Rat Ogres have is Prehensile Tail. Prehensile Tail makes it hard for people to run away from the Rat Ogre. He subtracts 1 from a d6 on their dodge attempts when they're leaving his tackle zones. Now, the problems with large monsters and the reasons we don't take them on my passing team. 1, they have Loner, meaning there's only a 50-50 chance that they're able to use a reroll should they fail a die roll. The other thing is the wild animal. After declaring an action with the wild animal on a roll of 1, the blocker on a blocker blitz action, the piece will not do anything. If you need the piece to just move On a 1 through 3, it doesn't do anything and just stands there. The action is wasted. So, you know, if you can put him in a position to hit, he can be very good. Now, with the Stormvermin here, again, these are going to be the stars of this team. You're going to be using these guys as your blitzers, your hitters. First piece I recommend doing for your Stormvermin is going to be a damage dealer. He's going to start with block, you know, mighty blow, and if you actually can roll doubles, because all Skaven start can access to mutations, I go block claw if you have the option, then mighty blow, then pile-on. Pile-on allows you to re-roll an armor or an injury, you know, in order to try and push it higher or possibly lower, but you have to put yourself on the ground for it. But again, with the 7 movement, Skaven, you know, can manage this. People may foul you, but the idea is hopefully you're taking pieces off and then it won't matter. The second Stormvermin for this I always set up is my secondary blitzer, or my second, you know, probably actually my first blitzer, in that I'll start him by doing block, tackle, strip ball, so that you have a piece that can go and try and, you know, retrieve the ball and knock it loose. Thrower in this case, this is one that turns into not actually be a thrower, but more often will end up being a runner. That being said, this piece needs to start with block. Other skills I recommend going forward are Nerves of Steel and Dump Off. That way you can carry the ball, and if you should, you know, get hit, you can still pass it off to a gutter runner, which is hopefully standing nearby and out of the way, and allow them to move on with it. Now, the 2 gutter runners in this team build used primarily as harrying pieces or assist pieces. Because of their speed, they're able to get around, you know, boxes, get around the edges of people, and get to those open places to where they can, you know, provide that needed assist. Skills for these guys: block, sidestep. Beyond that, you know, things like catch, mutations that'll allow them, you know, big hand or something to pick up the ball. Leap is, you know, probably further down the line, maybe, you know, 3rd or 4th skill, but, you know, comes in very handy in terms of being able to get past people. With your linemen in this case are going to be looking to hurt people as well. I recommend block to start. If you have the opportunity, take claw. Turns all armor values, you know, into 7 armor values, so all you have to roll is an 8 in order to injure somebody. Claw mighty blow, and you can, you know, you're well on your way. Stat boosts with your linemen, again, armor value boost, not necessarily, don't recommend, but if you can get a strength boost, certainly. A 4-edge lineman is never a bad thing. And depending on how your movement boost is rolled, yeah, possibly take the movement. 8 moving can be handy. I'd still probably rather have block on a lineman. You know, these guys are not going to be looking to pick up fend or wrestle necessarily, and because you will hopefully be able to be putting pressure on people as you progress. So, as you know, you can see, again, this team's starting with 2 rerolls. I know a lot of people really like 3 rerolls on their team. I try not to put myself in those kind of places where, you know, 3 rerolls are necessary per se. I will tend to do somewhat risky things while having a reroll, but I can play without them. It's, you know, it's Blood Bowl. Bad things are going to happen anyway. You know, sometimes rerolls don't matter. How many times have you rolled double ones or seen other people do it?
For that, the waste was, well, actually, no one knows where it went.
Alright, so, looking at it again, this is the Bash team. some of the strategies I have in terms of doing this team. This one is kind of like night and day from the passing team, and that one, you want to start on offense. This team, if you have the option, you want to be able to hit first, try and take some pieces out, generate some injuries, and ideally you're going to try and stall and not score with this team until turn 7, turn 8 of your first half. One of the nice things about this team, because of the gutter runners and the passing attack that is available to it, you still can score quickly. 2-turn scores are not uncommon with this team, so even if your opponent gets the ball in the second half and is able to draw out their score, odds are you can put enough pressure on them to be able to still have your opportunity to score to win the game. Now, in terms of starting, this team can be rather tough. Because of the low armor value and lack of skills, when you start out, you can end up with a lot of trouble depending on what team you end up starting against. This team against dwarves doesn't have a whole lot of fun. The blocks and different skills that the dwarves have, we're going to put a lot of your guys on the ground. Again, try and weather it, push them away, knock them down, and wish you the best of luck. So these are the two teams currently, and hopefully you guys learned something new from this. If not, please post your comments. I always look forward to hearing from you, and try and get back with as many people as I can. I will be posting some Let's Plays here shortly of these two teams, and I look forward to seeing what you have to say. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you later. Bye.